Hello and welcome to Inside Liverpool. I'm your host, Sam Ellard, and on today's episode, it's a special episode. We are paying tribute to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva, who just under 2 weeks ago tragically passed away in a car accident. There, of course, over the past couple of weeks on talkSPORT have been some incredible moving tributes from Liverpool fans, but fans of all football clubs. Former players have come on, people that played with him, people that knew him and coached him, and there's some wonderful content and tributes to a not just great football player, but a special person as well. But on this episode, we wanted to do our own episode and pay our own tribute to a player that is close to all of our hearts. I'm Sam Ellard. Alongside me is the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant and COP TV's AGT Alex Gildea Trott. Alex, you work in content. You spend your whole job going around watching Liverpool, talking about Liverpool. How have the last 2 weeks been for you, and working in an industry where this is sort of something that has affected us all?
Yeah, I mean, instant disbelief when I saw the news. The next day I went straight down to Anfield and paid my respects, laid the flowers down, and had a good cry, if I'm honest with you, with the people around me. It's been amazing to see all the different clubs pay their respects in their own ways. And it's been difficult, it's difficult to almost switch back into talking about transfers and what Liverpool's plans are for next season, knowing what's happened. And it's just the most tragic, heartbreaking thing I think any of us have ever seen in terms of, Liverpool, as we know, there's been so many tragedies with this football club. We're a very emotional football club. And those things make Liverpool fans stronger, they make the team stronger, but when these things happen, there's just no words that can justify it, really. Totally heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think that's what I found the hardest thing of all of this, Jermaine, is you see the news and you almost just don't think that it's real. You're almost expecting something to happen later on that day where it's just not true, and it doesn't happen. And I think that's kind of the hardest thing about all of this, is it's almost impossible to put this tragic event into words and make it make sense, because it just doesn't.
Yeah, it was a little bit of disbelief, and it took a good old few days for it really to sink in. He had so much going for him. Just recently got married. His 3 lovely children. Still so young. Still so much to offer for Liverpool and Portugal as well. And for that just to be taken away in a blink of an eye, on the way coming back to Liverpool as well. It's heartbreaking, and like I said, you can't fathom that. You can't even imagine what the family are going on, the close friends and colleagues and the Liverpool players itself as well. We'll probably share some great memories, and players who have got great bonds with him, losing a best mate. You're lost for words, and you can't really explain what they may all be feeling. It's such a sad period in, once again, Liverpool's history.
Yeah, but it's also what I'm hoping, and I'm sure will happen when we get to the first game of the season, Alex, and beyond, and I'm sure other opposition teams will do this as well. Is it an opportunity to try and celebrate a life? And I'm sure his name is going to be sung at every game, and it'll be an opportunity as well to mourn, but to also celebrate a guy that was able to play for Liverpool Football Club, score goals in front of the Kop, play for his country in the biggest tournaments, lift the Premier League, and I also hope, and I'm sure that will happen in the weeks and months to come, is that we can celebrate a great person who was able to have an amazing career.
Yeah, I think the first step of almost grieving this was probably the Preston game. It was the first opportunity for the Liverpool fans to show how much they still remember him, sing his name. I mean, that song on the 20th minute of every game, maybe even forever now, will be sung, if not around that and after it. Listen, you've got to grieve first, and then you can celebrate. You get to that stage. I don't think Liverpool fans will ever forget his impact and how,
Do you ever meet him out of interest?
Yeah.
I had.
What
was it like as a person, as a character?
I bumped into him at the AXA. I was working with the club. Just a totally normal guy. I mean, Jermaine knows, when you meet footballers, they're all just normal lads. There's no one.
Normal lads living everyone's dream, really, right?
Living everyone's dream. Robbo made a joke that he was like the most Scottish Portuguese fella he's ever met. Mac Jota. He goes to the snooker. He goes to Cheltenham. He plays his, PS5, etc. He was at one point the best FIFA player in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
So clearly very talented and just such a normal, down to earth guy. I mean, Gerrard's been quoted as saying, you know, they live in the same area, Crosby and Formby, kind of the same place, and you know, he's on his bike, he's wearing his Liverpool tracksuits, he's just a totally down-to-earth normal guy, and the time that I did meet him, he was exactly that. And
as you'd expect.
As you'd expect, and just such a bubbly character around the place. You know, he'd like to take the mick a little bit, but it was all fun and games. And like Jermaine said, going back to how the players feel now, you know, maybe players that were rumoured to be leaving Liverpool, maybe they don't want to leave now, because they're a band of brothers, they're all going through this together. And to see the turnout at his funeral, to see the turnout with all the players coming to pay their respects at the ground, I think the first time I realised this has happened was probably when the Amazing Woman before the Preston game sung "You'll Never Walk Alone," and that was one of the most emotional "You'll Never Walk Alone's" ever, which is already a very emotional song. So we're just going to remember him forever. We've retired the number 20. I think, you know, that's such an amazing thing. The club are obviously going to look after his family financially. Yeah. And yeah, I think you're right, that first game against Bournemouth on that
there
Friday
won't be a
night.
dry eye in the Anfield.
Oh, no.
Maybe home and away fans, you know, everybody really.
Absolutely. And you know what shows how much of a liked person and a great individual he was is that it's all across the world in football where people are showing their respects. You know, if they're celebrating goals or they're scoring goals, you know, they're showing up the number 20 sign and or doing Jota's celebration. And it's going across all sports, not only just football. You know, I've seen it in different sports Aussie rules where they've shown, you know, their respect to Jota, and some rugby games to Jota. So it just shows how much of a amazing individual, amazing footballer, and how much he was liked.
And it's, you know, you play the game, Jermaine, so you know what it's like to be in there. But you know, for us, Alex, we not play the game. You know, I never met Diogo Jota, so I never met him, I never spoke to him. He has no idea who I am as a person. He doesn't know that I exist. But how unique is football that something like this happens, and it affects everybody in their everyday life. You know, it feels like we've lost a family member.
Yeah, it does.
And do you not think that's the impact of football that it has on all of our lives? So these people that we've never met before and they don't know that we exist, that they become part of our lives, our everyday lives, our family, because we support them, we cheer their goals, and the impact that it has on all the football fans is like losing a family member, isn't it?
That's literally the best way to describe it. You know, the goals that he scored, the trophies that he won at Liverpool, you know, they weren't just shared and enjoyed by Liverpool fans in Liverpool. There's people waking up to this news in different time zones all around the world in pure disbelief. I mean, I didn't go to work the next day. I couldn't do it. You know, I was on DR Sports and I just had to say I can't do it. I mean, I'm not in the right mind space to carry on, because you're right, it does feel like a family member. It does feel like, because and Jermaine will tell you, once you're in that Liverpool family, like Jermaine's still in it now, like we never forget and we never move on. So yeah, you know, cries and distraughtness all around the world when that news came through, which people didn't want to believe. And I think it took me, I was in a state of shock when I saw it. It took me Flex called me straight away and I said, I can't talk to you, bro. I just had to put the phone down because it was so raw and fresh. And honestly, I think it's the most heartbreaking thing since I've been alive that I've gone through as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But Alex mentioned at the top, Jermaine, that it's, unfortunately it's a football club that's had a lot of tragedy in its past, and you know, Diogo struck me as someone that was fiercely competitive, like a warrior on the football pitch, you know, wanted to win no matter what. And I've got no doubt that whilst you think of the first game of the season, it's going to be incredibly emotional. But I know that the group of players are going to do everything this season to win for him, and to almost, he's going to bring everybody
100%.
that extra little bit closer to, because the players, you know, you think the players are going to go out there and they're going to be thinking about him and they're going to want to do it for him. They're going to want to win for him and carry on the success that the football club had last season.
Well, you saw the reaction that the Liverpool players, the Liverpool fans, you know, and the football world when Luis Diaz's father was kidnapped and he was away for a missed a certain game. Jota scored and I think he raised up his shirt.
Yeah, he did.
So you can imagine now that not just the first game, it's going to be, I think, every single game there will be a huddle either in the change room, on the pitch, and it'll be dedicated to Jota every single game. And let's do this for Diogo. Let's win this. Let's push. You know, he's with us. He's looking down. We want to make him proud. And that will give Liverpool extra motivation. Not like they need it, but just something like this, you can always, try and find some form of silver lining in a horrible tragedy. And I think this is going to, not only the players, but the whole of Liverpool itself and the community, it's just literally going to drive them and put them all together. And it's just, people talk about Liverpool, how difficult it is, how, that bond is unique.
Do you feel that when you played up there?
Yeah,
different compared to other clubs you played for?
100%. And this is only going to make them stronger.
And if you said Saturday was anything to go by Preston, that was your pre-season friendly. Every game this season is going to have that different feel to it, Alex.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in the huddles, as Jermaine mentioned, their final word before they go out onto the battlefield is Diogo, let's do it for him. It can go one of two ways, I think, in sport. This will either mentally, it could impact Liverpool in a negative way, where they just don't feel like, and obviously it's not just down to them, it's other teams that we play, it's not under our control every game, but if they win the league for themselves, but also for Diogo, I genuinely think that's one of the most touching football stories of all time. If Liverpool, if we sit round here at this table in a year's time and Liverpool champions again, I mean, if the last one was emotional,
this
one will just top that easily.
Yeah, completely different scale. I also want just to discuss him as a football player, because he provided us all with some special memories and moments and goals. And I remember when he signed for Wolves at the time. It feels a long time ago now. I remember maybe it was a few people like Jota, Wolves. It was a bit of a left field signing. Yeah. But what a player he was to Liverpool as well. Versatile. Lots of people at the club would say, Jermaine, that he was the best finisher. Lethal in front of goal. And I know he had some injury problems, but he didn't just leave us a great person, but he had such a big impact on the field as well.
Oh, he had a massive impact. I think just all around. When he was coming on, you something's going to happen. You drop a chance to him, it was going to go in the back of the net. The way he could rise in the air, you'd think he's 6'2". But he was just lethal in every department, and he was hungry. He always wanted to fight. Every time he walked on that pitch, you could see he was giving it his all, always having a tussle with the defenders, never making it easy. And the amount of joy personally he brought me with some of his late goals. To say that his last goal that we're all going to remember is against our rivals Everton. It just shows what of a magical player he was. But solely going to be missed. But at the same time, I'm very grateful that he was a part of my team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, his trademark thing was to almost drop the shoulder, come inside, maybe go back the other side. We saw what he did to Aaron Ramsdale for his first Liverpool goal when there was no fans in the stadium. We saw that finish away at Everton where he's roofed it from a really tight angle. I mean, I was in the second row of the Kop when he scored that goal against Everton in April. So looking back now, I'm so happy and grateful really that I was there for that moment. Tomorrow's never promised, and I think when he gives you that joy, you think, oh, well, we'll get that in May, we'll get it back in August, and it hasn't come. But there's so many, like the 2 goals away against Arsenal in the league, in that yellow McDonald's kit, as everyone called it. Some of the headers that he scored, he barely even celebrated because he just thought it was a FIFA game when he scored against United at Old Trafford when we beat them 5-0.
And he was good at FIFA, as we know.
As we know, but there's so many, the quote was like, get Jota on. If he wasn't starting the game, get him on, because he'll impact the game. And Jermaine references his heading ability. It reminded me, I know he's a little bit taller than Michael Owen, but back in the day, Owen, 5'8" maybe, could rise up and stick it away. His heading was unbelievable, his touch was unbelievable. I remember when we went to Brentford away last year, the keeper, they had a corner, Virgil smashed it away and the ball's up in the air, and Jota knows that Nunes is making that run, he's onside, and he gets his head to it, and that's an amazing assist when you think about it. The ball's so high up in the air.
I remember that.
Just so clutch, so important in the moments when you really needed him. And when people say about his finishing ability, listen, Mo Salah's the most lethal finisher at Liverpool, but Diogo Jota, people were saying, well, he's more clinical than Gakpo, Nunes, Diaz. So to even come to terms with the fact that we're not having him available to play next season, I think it will hit us again when that first game comes around. And
what's it been like living? You live in the city. You live up in Liverpool. What's it?
The city's hurting.
Yeah,
it feels like the city's really hurting. You're seeing murals going up.
There's a lot of memorials and a lot of people showing their respects and a lot of Liverpool flags and shirts and flowers everywhere. It's literally Liverpool at the moment. It's just a Diogo Jota memorial.
Yeah. And do you know what? I live in the city just by Chinatown, and there's a house near us which had all the scarves and flags out for the parade. And I walked my dog past there the other week, and that's all been changed to Diogo stuff. And I think when you see it on a street level of like how it's affecting the public, this city is obviously used to pain in the past, but I think this one cuts extra deep just because it was so shocking and out of the blue, And
I guess we've all never would have experienced almost obviously a current player. We know that legends, unfortunately, as obviously everybody gets older, can pass away, and that hurts and that has an impact. But for it to be a current player who we watch week in, week out, just is. But you mentioned that. I mean, I think also I thought they were always going to do a bit of retiring the number 20 jersey as well. I thought was absolutely classy because nobody could wear that jersey again. It wouldn't be right.
Absolutely, and I don't think nobody would want the jersey.
No, that's of course.
I think the coming to Liverpool, I don't think so. Yeah, I'd want number 20, please. I think it was kind of a given that was given up. But I just want to mention quickly is that what Liverpool have decided to do for his family is honour his contract and give that on a monthly basis to his family. I think that's an amazing gesture.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's nothing in the contract that says if we have to. But
and that family part of the football club, so it's always
and it's
the right
not
thing
just
to do.
the club that is going to look after his family. We've already heard what Ronaldo and Bruno and
Neves as well.
Neves especially was his best mate. He carried his coffin. So they're all going to make sure. I mean, the financial stuff. Listen, they're going to need to be looked after, but it's more the personal stuff.
The emotional
the money's irrelevant at this stage.
But
it's
the
just the personal support.
They'll have the best
the
support.
football club
They'll have the best support.
people that are employed to look after, help people in these.
And when the time's right, I'm sure the family will come to Anfield. And again, it's going to be so emotional.
That would be. That's going to be.
Yeah, of course. Whenever they want to. Because for that first game of the season, I guess there'll be some sort of mosaic in the cop, which is just going to be Diogo Jota. His song is probably not going to not be sung at any point in that game of football. And so that is going to be a night where the football is going to feel completely irrelevant, even though it's first game of the season. It's all going to be about paying tribute to the first time everybody can get together at Anfield for a league game and pay tribute. So absolutely terrible, absolutely shocking. And you just hope as well from you mentioned there that from the players' point of view, who spend day in day out with this guy, that they get looked after and they'll be be in a position where they can want to play football come a couple of weeks time. Yeah,
I'm sure this is what pre-season is for. So they will get into the rhythm. They will pick themselves up to not get on with it, but to start to deal with it in a professional manner. It's not going to be easy, but that's what that squad's for. They will all be helping each other, because one day you may see one of the lads down or a little bit upset, probably still thinking about, still grieving, and that's what your teammates are there for, to put an arm around you and to pull you along. And I'm sure come the first day of the season, first game of the season, should I say, is that they'll be ready, but they won't have forgotten anything. They'll be still mourning, but they'll be ready.
And the day that we learned of the news in the morning, I listened to talkSPORT all day, and obviously there were loads of Liverpool fans that called up. But something else I thought was special to listen to is how many non-Liverpool fans called up as well and wanted to pay their respects and almost honour him and honour his career and his legacy of what he's left behind in the Premier League. I think that's something else that we're going to see throughout the whole season. It's not just going to be Liverpool Football Club, but I think they're going to want to play. I think other teams as well are good. I think probably all football clubs, I think, at some point will want to show their respects as well to Diogo.
Listen, everyone's got that tribalism with their football club, but this goes way beyond football. And we mentioned, Man United players coming to pay their respects. I have to shout out Preston North End, by the way. I mean, the class they showed on that day, they almost allowed the day to be taken over by Liverpool, even though it was in their stadium. So classy. What Wolves has done as well is incredible. People.
Yeah, but we shouldn't forget he's a big part of their football club for many years. Of course, they brought him to this country, didn't they?
They did, and how good was he for them as well? By the way, you see some of the goals. A lot of them are quite similar, where he kind of cuts in, sends the defender for the echo, and then finishes across the keeper. It's just lethal, man. So, it's.
I'm already thinking about the first Jota song, because that's going to be. It's a special song, isn't it? Anyway, I mean, it's an incredible song, and that first Jota song, I think it's gonna be emotional, isn't it, Jermaine? That first Friday night of the season.
Absolutely. Like I said, I love his song. I think it's one of the best that they've got, Jota's song. So I'll be there singing along with it as well. No doubt, getting emotional. And I can't wait. I literally just can't wait for. I think the team's going to need it. I think the fans are going to need it for this, season to really kick off. And I think that's what everyone's looking forward to.
And actually, you've got your own Liverpool channel, don't you? The COP TV. I mean, how over the last couple of weeks have you guys been covering that? I mean, you must have been a bit, because you're doing daily content, aren't you? How's that kind of been for you, going to work and talking about something like this?
You know what? When it first happened, I was on my way to the studio anyway, and I don't think, looking back, I did a video. I obviously didn't monetize it. That wasn't the plan at all. But you can see in the video that I wasn't ready to do that video. And I went to get something to eat after. I just totally burst into tears. And then we didn't film a video for maybe 4 days after that. Just because you want to learn all the facts and you want to grieve and process and digest what's happened. And then like I said, the tone and my energy normally is up there. But with this news, you could tell for a good, even now, doing this video, it's kind of brought it all back. But yeah, it was, I had to do a video because I wanted to pay respects to him, and I hope I did that in the video. But at the same time, looking back, I don't think I was ready to do it because it was within an hour of finding out the news.
I think if there's anything that we've learned from this, guys, is that life is precious, and you hear people say that you never know what's around the corner tomorrow, and we all probably guilty, aren't we, of taking that for granted and just expecting to wake up tomorrow morning. But I think if this has taught us all anything, is that this is precious, and we do know what's around the corner. So it's sad, but I feel happy and honoured that I was able to go to Liverpool games and watch Diogo Jota play for my football club and score goals for my football club and win Premier Leagues for my football club. And I feel proud to be a Liverpool supporter because it's a club that has dealt with tragedy for many, many years, and we're going to deal with this as a family. So Jermaine and Alex, thank you for being on this episode of Inside Liverpool. There's, of course, and has been loads of amazing tributes paid to Diogo and his brother over the last couple of weeks on talkSPORT. We wanted to make sure that we did it properly here on Inside Liverpool.
You seem to have been running around upsetting people, Spencer, you treacherous little hound.
Boom! Like that. That's where he was getting stuck.
Fury hits him on the ropes, 30 seconds to go.
Opinions are opinions. They're like backsides. Everybody's got one.
I stand by that. I still think it was a terrible decision.
Well, it takes two to tango.